welcome you all uh, on this our today's webinar on nanotechnology in water and wastewater treatments. I would like to welcome our honorable principal sir, Dr. M.G. Bhatt sir, our head of the department, Dr. R.K. Jain sir, our today's speaker, Dr. Komal P. Mehta, faculty members and dear students. So before starting up with our webinar, I would like to request our honorable principal sir to say a few words. Principal, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to you all. It is our privilege that Dr. Komal has considered to join with us for today's inputs. We warmly welcome you, madam, and we are thankful to you for sharing your time and expertise with all of our students and faculty members. As we know that, and as our schedule, we are preponing today, and a large number of students have joined. I think the faculty members are also there. So, not taking much time, I would request Professor Nayan to go ahead with today's event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to request our honorable head of the department, Dr. R.K. Jain sir, to say a few words on the occasion. Jain sir, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. I welcome Dr. Komal Mehta for this occasion of webinar on nanotechnology, use of nanotechnology in water distribution network and sewage distribution network. I congratulate her for this overwhelming response from the participants. It came to know that 1,400 participants have registered for this course, and this area is totally new. Even as a water resources engineer, I also find this area totally new application of this nanotechnology in this true distribution network. I hope that our faculty members across the state or out of the state, maybe the participants, students, all will take the advantage of this topic, and it would be useful delivery to them. Further, I again welcome Madam you, and I hand over the proceedings to Professor Nayan Soni to take over the next step. Please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your words. Now, before starting our today's event, I would like to introduce our today's speaker, supervisor in civil engineering in DTU, and right now she is bearing the position as a professor and head of the department civil engineering in the IDM SLS Baroda University at Vadodara. She is handling the charge of nodal officer in the ACPC degree engineering admissions at Vadodara. So far as the education honors and certifications are concerned, she got her doctorate of philosophy degree from the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of the Baroda in 2010. And it is on the critical evaluation of the effluent treatment plant and analysis of mathematical model for Central Gujarat region. She has got award for contribution in teaching, research, and publication, and that was by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Lifetime Achievement National Award, 27th of November 2019, by International Institute of Social and Economic Reforms. For the contribution to higher education, awarded as Best Teacher in the Higher Education category by Shri Om Prakash Ji Kohli Ji, Government of Gujarat, on 6th 2019. She had got sponsorship for 6th National Conference on Application of Nanotechnology in Civil Engineering from Zydus Industry held on 23rd and 24th of Jan 2019. She was awarded as the Best Teacher Award from ITM Universe Management in the year of 2019. And the list goes on with a large numbers. She has patented 2 patents, and one of which is on the analytical model for reuse of domestic water, wastewater, with patent number 2019 1037614 on just in recent past, that is in 2019 September. Second patent she filed, that is on the production of green electricity in February 2020. She is a reviewer in the international book publications in Omnis Scriptum Publishing, International Book Market Services Limited, Germany and Europe. She has a very good international collaboration with very renowned professional organizations, and she has already brought so many national and international books. She has published a large number of research papers at international and national level. She has conducted 2 national conferences, and every year she is conducting international conferences also. A large list is there for her inputs in conducting seminars and workshops. So I feel with this small introduction, I would now request our today's speaker, Dr. Komal Mehta, to proceed further. Please, madam.
Thank you, sir. Greetings of the day. Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you, Nayan sir, for such warm introduction. I am happy to receive participants. Actually, nanotechnology we have taken as thrust area at our ITM SLS Baroda University for Civil Engineering Department. And since last 6 years, I am arranging conferences. We are publishing papers. Even at undergraduate level, we have done some experiments also for students project. So I am deeply involved into this topic, and I will be happy if your students can take advantage out of it. Before we start the content, I would just like to explain what nanotechnology is. You can see this is a cube, right? Consider that this is a full cube. So this is 3 centimeter by 3 centimeter by 3 centimeter. Now if I have to get surface area, how I will calculate? 3 by 3, this is a square. So for one side it is 9 centimeter square, and this is cube, total 6 sides, so 54 centimeter square. Now, like this Rubik's cube, it has been divided into smaller cubes, which are total 27 in number, each of 1 by 1 by 1, right? So now if I have to calculate surface area, 1 by 1 by 1 centimeter is the size of each cube, and total 27 cubes are there. So for one side, 1 by 1, that is 1 centimeter square. For 1 by 1 by 1 cube, total 6 side. So 6 centimeter square is the surface area for 1 cube, and such 27 cubes are there. So 27 multiplied by 6, 162 centimeter square is the surface area. So what I am trying to explain here, that compared to 54 centimeter square, which was considering this as full cube, now the same, if we are dividing into smaller cubes of 1 by 1 by 1, it is giving us surface area 162 centimeter square, more than 3 times of its surface area, which we actually got. So this is the power of nanotechnology. Those who are not interested in mathematics, let me give you one simple example. If you take a tablet, and if you take a finely powdered type of the medicine, right? We Indians are proud of our Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, normally what is changed compared to allopathy? One of the major changes that they will always give you churna. What is the logic behind it? When you take tablet and it goes inside the body, it will take some time to react. But when you are taking powdered form medicine, it is fine particles, and because of this fineness, the contact area, the surface area has been increased to a large extent. So when it goes inside the body, it will give you speedy reaction. So again, what I'm trying to explain here, something is bigger which has been broken into smaller, and because of which surface area is increased, and that is the power of nanotechnology. So let's start with the content. Is it visible, sir? Nayan sir? Hello?
Absolutely.
Right,
It's visible,
okay.
ma'am.
So
Yes, it's visible,
I'm
ma'am.
representing ITM SLS Baroda University, as Nayan sir has introduced me. This is a university which is situated on Halol Highway, and we run BSc, MBA, MCA, Pharmacy, Architect, Engineering degree, Diploma, all courses. And I'm also working as a nodal officer for degree engineering admission. So let us start with our topic. What is nanotechnology, right? First difference, I would like to make a parenthesis here, right? That nanotechnology will not follow the law of Newton. It will follow the law of quantum physics. When we will go for following law of quantum physics, when we are working at a level which is smaller than the level of atom, then law of quantum physics will be applicable. So what I am saying here, that nano will work with law of quantum physics and not the Newton's law. So what is nanotechnology? Research and technology development at atomic, molecular or macromolecular level in the length scale of approximately 1 to 100 nanometer range. What is nano? On a meter scale, if simple comparison, 1 meter is equal to 10 raised to minus 9 nanometer. So that small is nano, right? Now, if you think about our computer systems, in older time, the computer system, all desktop CPU were of very big size. As time has progressed, now even in the small chip, you can have a numerous data. So efficiency has increased and size has decreased. So this is the power of nanotechnology. Creating and using structures, devices and systems that have novel properties and function because of their small or intermediate size, ability to control or manipulate on the atomic scale. So again, it is beyond atomic scale, it is smaller than atomic scale, and so here normal Newton's law will not be applicable. Now nanotechnology and drone, these two are buzzing words nowadays, right? Because they have application and future, and we have to accept it and we have to learn it. So which are the applications of nanotechnology? Nanotechnology has application in many areas, considering engineering, medical, pharmacy, almost in every field. Okay, it has application for energy storage, defense, security, metallurgy, material, electronics, optical engineering, communication, biomedical and drug delivery, agriculture, food, cosmetics, biotechnology, textile, and there are many more, right? Well, the question is nanotechnology is new? Before discussing this, let me explain you there is difference between innovation and finding. Innovation means which was not existing. We have just created it. That is called innovation. And finding means which was existing, but we were not aware about it. But now we have identified its existence. So in my opinion, nanotechnology is not new. You will see n number of examples existing with nature itself. Here I have tried to explain the same with very simple picture. What is it? You all can identify. This is simple flower lotus, which me and you all have seen in reality as well. So have you ever tried to observe that on the waxy coating surface of lotus, if the water droplet will fall, what will happen? It will not allow that water to stay over that. It will allow it to drain off. So this is the same logic, or this is the same characteristics which nanotechnology possesses. That if you are using nanomaterial, and suppose that if you are using it for the coating of a building, it will not allow any dust particle or any water droplet to stay over that. So compared to normal construction, if your construction is with nanomaterial, definitely building lifespan will increase to a great extent. So nanotechnology is not a specific different technology, but they are nanomaterials which we are using with our regular technology, which increases the efficiency and output of our processes. What is significance of nanoscience and nanotechnology? So again, nanoscale. Nanoscale we have to understand that I have covered in the next slide. So with picture I will explain it. But nanometer is 1,000 millionth of a meter. Now if you just take a red blood cell which is inside the body, what is the size of blood cell? It is 7 into 10 raised to minus 6 meter. But compared to micrometer, because 10 raised to minus 6 is micrometer, nanometer is 10 raised to minus 9. So if you compare 10 raised to minus 6 and 10 raised to minus 9, 10 raised to minus 9 is 1000 times smaller than 10 raised to minus 6, right? So red blood cell on nanoscale, if we see, it is 7000 nanometer wide, which is 7 into 10 raised to minus 6 meter. Okay, water molecule 0.3 nanometer across. So what is nanoscience and what is nanotechnology? As I have said, it is not new. Polymers, which are large molecules, they are made up of nanoscale subunit for many decades, and nanotechnologies have been used to create the features on computer chip for the past 20 years. One researcher have quoted that why we cannot accommodate 24 volumes of encyclopedia on a tip of a pin. Now, tip of a pin is hardly 2 mm. So can you think the power of nanotechnology? We are talking about accommodating 24 volume of encyclopedia on a head of a tip. Advances in tool that not allow atom and molecule to be examined and probed with great precision have enabled the expansion and development of nanoscience and nanotechnology. So let us understand on a scale that how nanotechnology works. So first try to see this. This is 10 raised to minus 2 meter, which is 1 centimeter. We all know that. And it is 10 mm. Coming lower, 10 raised to minus 3 meter. We all know that it is 1 millimeter. 10 raised to minus 4 meter. 0.1 mm. We are familiar with this. But it is 100 micrometer. Again, micro means 10 raised to minus 6. So compared to 10 raised to minus 4, it is 100 times lesser in the size. 10 raised to minus 5 meter, it is 0.01 mm. Same way 10 raised to minus 6 meter, it is 1 micrometer, but it is 1000 nanometer. 10 raised to minus 9 meter, it is 1 nanometer. And 10 raised to minus 10 meter, it is 0.1 nanometer. So this much is the difference in nano and our regular scale of meter or centimeter, right? Now, as I have quoted that it is not a new technology. There are some examples which are already existing in the nature. So which are those examples? So on left side, I have tried to show all those things which we can claim representing nanotechnology and which is naturally existing. Let us say end 5 mm fly ash. You know the size of fly ash, right? It is 10 to 20 μm. Dust mine 200 μm, human hair 10 to 50 μm wide, red blood cell with white blood cell 2 to 5 μm, DNA and many more examples. Same way, it is also possible to create it artificially. So the man-made things which are created for nanotechnology field, it is, you can say, head, we have just talked, it is 1 to 2 mm. There are many things which man-made creations can be, like micro electromechanical devices, maybe 10 to 100 μm wide, which include red blood cells, pollen gains, etc. In 21st century, we are also creating blocks. We all are civil engineers, right? So we will be better interested in this, that we can assemble nanoscale building blocks at some place, and then it can be a functional device. Photosynthesis reaction can also be taken place in that, and it can be brought at the site, and then it can be directly fitted, right? Carbon nanotube, which we are going to discuss at length because it is a part of wastewater treatment technology, and there are many more examples, right? So I'm just hoping that you have understood this scale, that 1 meter is equal to 10 raised to minus 9 meter is 1 nanometer, right? So it is this small, which is nano. So what are the materials of nanotechnology? The materials are normally having a specific type of nanostructure. Structure can be crystal and cluster. They can be having a radius of 1 to 10 nanometer. And example or application includes insulator, semiconductor, metal or magnetic material. In other material with same size, it can be ceramic oxide, buckyball. Nanowire diameter 1 to 100 nanometer, and its application metal, semiconductors, oxides, sulfides, nitrides, and nanotube of same size, carbon, including furnaces. So these are just a few of the example. Now, one major difference between normal material and nanomaterial is its properties. Nanomaterial possesses certain characteristic, which is we can call a certain type of property, which is catalytic, electrical, mechanical, magnetic, optical, spherical, biological, and because of these characteristics, they possess certain types of features like high aspect ratio, reactivity, more surface area, speedy reaction, tunable pore volume, electrostatic, hydrophobic, etc. And because of these features, they help in adsorption, catalysis, sensing, optoelectronics, etc. Right? So here I have listed that which are the properties and for which kind of examples it is applicable. So catalytic is applicable, like you can say example where you can use it. So better catalytic efficiency through higher surface to volume ratio. That means wherever catalytic reactions are going to take place, the nanomaterial which possesses catalytic property will give you better results. So this will be mainly applicable for chemical and environmental engineering. In electrical, increased electrical conductivity in ceramic and magnetic nanocomposite, increased electric resistance in metal. Magnetic, increased magnetic correctivity up to a critical grain size and super paramagnetic behavior. In mechanical, improved hardness and toughness of metal and alloy, ductility and super plasticity of ceramic. So for all material, it will increase its life, right? Because of these characteristics. Optical, spectral shift of optical absorption and fluorescent properties, increased quantum efficiency of semiconductor crystals, and biological, increased permeability through biological barrier, which are mainly membrane, barrier, etc., improved biocompatibility. So from these characteristics, specifically for today's topic, we are mainly interested in this catalytic as well as biological characteristics. So application is for catalytic reactions and biological barriers. Also, if we see on a larger scale, almost in all branch of engineering, we have numerous applications of nanotechnology. I will give you a very simple example. In earlier days, the vehicles which were available, consider any two-wheeler or four-wheeler, what was the weight of that vehicle? And for the same brand, same type, same size vehicle today, what is the weight? It has been reduced and efficiency, or you can say average, has been increased. Many cars which are available on higher segment, they are having a specific type of coating, right? Even if dust or water droplet will stick to that, it will not allow to stay there. Every time car will look like it is a new car, right? So these are the applications in automotive industry. In construction, if we see, on building surface, as I have quoted one of the example, for painting you can add nanomaterial. Also nowadays wooden floors are available which are flame retardant, right? So there are many such applications. So we can just see in automotive industry, lightweight construction, painting, catalyst, tire, sensor, coating for windscreen, etc. In chemical industry, feelers, coating system based on nanocomposite, impregation of paper, switchable adhesive and magnetic fluid. In mechanical engineering, wear protection tool for machine, lubricant free bearing. Electronic industry, data memory, display. There are many gadgets we all know, right? That size has been reduced and efficiency is increased. In construction material, thermal insulation, flame retardant, surface functionalized building material, facade coating, groove mortar. And in medicine, drug delivery system, active agent, contrast medium, medical rapid test. Even in COVID-19, we are listening that the medicine which is covered with nanomaterial is giving good result, but it is on a research scale, so we cannot claim it right now. Just to give a simple view that how effective nanotechnology is, you can see the clear-cut difference. It is the same space or same building. It was constructed with normal construction material which was looking like this. Just after application of nanomaterial, you can see that every time when you look, you will feel that it is just constructed or it's going to last for another 50 years, right? So it will increase the life of building like anything. So now coming to our main part, use in water and wastewater treatment. Due to exceptional characteristics which resulted from nanoscale size, such as improved catalysis and adsorption property, as well as high reactivity, nanomaterial have been the subject of active research and development. So what is explained over here? Nanoscale size means they are working at nanoscale. So nanoscience, quantum physics law will be applicable. Catalysis is improved, adsorption is improved, high reactivity, and so it is giving us good result. What are the main characteristics because of which we are getting this benefit? It is small size, large specific surface area, and nanomaterial have strong adsorption capacity and reactivity. Even mobility of nanomaterial in solution is high. what we will achieve after applying all this in the water or wastewater treatment segment. So the conclusion will be what it will do by adding nanomaterial in any treatment. Finally, it will mainly remove heavy metal, organic pollutant, inorganic anion, and bacteria. So whenever these four are high as a contaminant, nanomaterial can be definitely very, very useful. And numerous studies have shown that nanomaterial can effectively remove various pollutants in water, and thus have been successfully applied in the wastewater treatment system. So mainly, what is our research frame? So for anything, research frame first point will be application, which is reactive to the existing problem and proactive for the preventing future problem, definitely, right? But when we are dealing with nanotechnology or when we are using nanomaterial, we have to always see implication of interaction of nanomaterial with environment and possible risks that may be posed by the use of nanotechnology. What we have to understand out of this, whenever we are using nanomaterial, it's going to give impact on environment. So risk assessment should be a part of process before execution in whatever treatment we are applying nanotechnology. Also, it has application in various sectors, like if we see in green energy, nano products such as solar and fuel cell that could lead to commercially viable alternative energy sources, right? Where renewable energy we have to think of. So energy saving by a lightweight composites, embedded system, nanostructured compound for efficient thermoelectrical power generation, wear and corrosion protection, lightweight construction using nanocomposite. What do we mean by composite over here? Composite means which is a mixture of different elements. It is not a single nanomaterial. We have some more application, maybe in sensor form if we see, information for environmental protection and risk management, which is more efficient use of material or more data on the best. Real-time accurate sensing of many compounds simultaneously at extremely low concentration, frequently in the hostile environment. In treatment, if we see, cleaning up of the waste stream. Now, how we are cleaning the waste stream? Even if the wastewater is going on, and if you just add nanomaterial, it automatically starts cleaning it. But the only thing is that the nanomaterials are very, very costly, right? Those substances which are very highly toxic, persistent within the environment or difficult to treat, for them nanomaterial is the best solution. It also promises cost-effective, specific and rapid solution for the treatment of contaminant at a larger span of lifetime, not immediately, right? So nano is yet at research scale, we can say so, but definitely we can find out that what is the break-even point if really we have to implement in field. Then remediation, cleanup of contaminated site with the problem brought about by prior technologies and past practices. And in green manufacturing, atom by atom construction, which is less material to dispose of, right? Whatever manufacturing or any process is going on, raw material is required, process has to be possibly self-sufficient or least production of toxicity to the environment, and less material to be disposed of. So all these we can achieve when we are using nanomaterial in green. That is why it is called as green manufacturing. So both these aspects involve the use of environmentally friendly starting material and solvent, improved catalyst, and significantly reduced energy consumption in the manufacturing processes. Also implication in geochemistry, if we see, so knowledge of formation of atmospheric aerosol, movement of natural nanoparticle in air and soil that can help inform solutions to man-made problem, essential risk to ecosystem and human health. Also, they determine the exposure route for both natural organism in a variety of ecosystem and human in environment. Also, essential risk analysis can be done. And ecological aspect, if we see, definitely life cycle of nanomaterial that may cause impact to the environment, and we can examine. There are certain tools available like MFA, LCA, etc., and environmental impact can be judged. So these all are the implications of use of nanomaterial. Now, again, coming back to a very specific segment of water and wastewater treatment. First question should come to your mind that why we have to treat wastewater. We all know that 97% water is not available for us. From 3% which is available, maximum is in the glacier. Day by day population is increasing. Every year 64 billion cubic meter of fresh water increase in use we have experienced. So it is rightly said that Third World War may be for water, not for any other thing. And time is very near if we will not be conscious enough. So we have to anyhow save the fresh water quantity. So we have to maybe wherever it is possible go for reuse of wastewater by giving proper treatment so that that amount of fresh water can be saved. One statistic shows that 60% of population may not get safe access to drinking water in coming 10 years. So this is very, very dangerous, very alarming situation. Even on climate change scale, if we see the global warming says that every year 2 degrees centigrade temperature is increased. And so approximately 15% of the global population with severe decrease in water resources, right? What we have to understand, 64 billion cubic meter water use is increased every year, 15% resources are decreased, temperature is increased, population is increased. So we are going to face water scarcity. And as an engineer, we have to be a part of solution, not the problem creator. And so we have to save the fresh water by giving proper treatment to wastewater. So whatever usual technologies are existing, I hope that we are aware about it. So what is the advancement in that? So nano-based material can be used. Nano material have unique size dependent property. I gave you 2 examples in the starting. One was cube, another was medicine. Both were having different size, but from its original version, it has to be broken into smaller size. So it is said unique size dependent property, and also because of this surface area will be increased, and property of nanomaterial is discontinuous. So if some harmful effect is there at one point, it will not be carried forward at other point. So due to their high specific surface area, nanoadsorbents show a considerably higher rate of adsorption for organic compounds compared with granular and powdered activated carbon. In addition to saving of adsorbent material, the superior process efficacy that enables implementation of more compact water and wastewater treatment. Whatever equipment we are having, suppose if we use nano material in that and our equipment becomes portable and we can carry it at any process, so the treatment of wastewater will become little bit easy. That is what I have tried to say in third point. Nano-based material, current research activity, you can divide it into 4 type of segment. These are not name of material. These are type of material, you can say so. Carbon-based nanoadsorbent, metal-based nanoadsorbent, polymeric nanoadsorbent, and zeolite. And we will take at least one example of each for our understanding. In short, wherever you are having contaminated water and you are allowing nanomaterial to interfere, you are going to get purified water. Now this nanomaterial, they may work as catalysis, they may work for membranes, adsorbent, flocculant, disinfectant. In all segments it has application, but the thumb rule is that when you are applying carbon nanotube or carbon filtration using nanomaterial, your water which is coming as a effluent is going to be a pure water. What is carbon nanotube? Just imagine there is a sheet of graphene and you are rolling it, okay? Just like maybe you are folding some sari or something like that, okay? It is a roll, right? And assuming one full roll of graphite is a single carbon nanotube. It can have single wall, it can have multiple wall as well. So carbon nanotubes are allotropes of carbon with a cylindrical nanostructure. I'm going to give you a picture also so that it will be visualizable. Depending on their manufacturing process, carbon nanotubes are categorized as single wall nanotube and multi-wall nanotube. Carbon nanotube possesses highly accessible adsorption site. So what it mainly will do, carbon nanotube when will be added to the wastewater, it will be a good adsorbent. So it will take the contaminant onto it. It will act like a membrane and it is not giving any toxic byproduct, okay? I have added carbon nanotube in the wastewater. It is acting like a membrane. It is grabbing all the contaminant on its surface, but water is clean, and in this process there is no toxic byproduct also. So this is important advantage over the conventional disinfection process like chlorination or ozonation, because we know chlorination today it is techno-economical solution. So in almost all water and wastewater treatment plant, wherever it is required, we are using chlorination. Ozonation, I'm not sure, but if any one of you have tried, you must have experienced that if you are giving ozone treatment, in that case you will feel as if you are standing near a dead body. right? It is such a bad odor. So compared to this, carbon nanotube is highly effective, right? So let us say this is a water tank. Yeah, this vertical, what you can see, these are the carbon nanotube. This is a water which is contaminated. Only this red molecular water, rest all what you can see is a different types of contaminant. So by one or other method, it will be grabbed here, and whatever is outcome, it is only going to be a water molecule. I will also show the real picture. You can see here on right side, this is carbon nanotube. Okay, you can see the quality of water. It has absorbed all the contaminant, and it is very efficient, though it is very lesser in the size. So conventional desalination process have two major disadvantages, that they are energy consuming. Technically also they are very demanding. Whereas adsorption based technique, which are simple and easy to use for the point of use of water purification devices. And carbon nanotube have significant advantage over the activated carbon. Their use on an industrial scale for large municipal water and wastewater treatment plant is not expected in the mid-term because of its high production cost. And you can say that carbon nanotube, they are still in the competition stage, because we have to see for the cost recovery as well. For elimination of heavily degradable contaminants such as many antibiotic or pharmaceutical, carbon nanotube is highly effective. Second, polymeric nanoadsorbent, right? I have showed you four categories. First was carbon based, so we have taken example of carbon nanotube. Second category, it was polymeric nanoadsorbent. So example is dendrimer, which are utilizable for removing organics and heavy metal. What is dendrimer? If you assume the model of a globe of earth, okay, just a round like your cricket ball, and you take out 1/3 from the core of it, and then what it look like. Dendrimer is just like that. I will show you the picture. So it is mainly utilized for removing organic and heavy metal, and nearly all the copper ion were recovered by the use of combined dendrimer ultrafiltration system. So this is dendrimer. The more clear picture is this. This is a ball. You have taken 1/3 of it. Now the what you can say, this core part is going to absorb the organic matters, and this peripheral part is going to absorb the heavy metal, right? So in combination, they are removing organic matter and heavy metal. This is how dendrimer will look like. Specifically, when it is a textile industry and where dye is there in the wastewater, this combination of Chisholm dendrimer nanostructure is highly effective, because this bioadsorbent is biodegradable, biocompatible, non-toxic, and also it removes the efficiency of 99% can be achieved, right? So this is the best combination, especially when you are treating with the textile wastewater. Then third type of nanomaterial, zeolite. Zeolite is very porous structure. I will also explain this with the picture, in which nanoparticles such as silver ions can be embedded, and a small amount of silver ion is released from the metallic surface when placed in contact with liquid, and they absorb, and disinfectant properties will be released. So possibility of applying zeolite themselves as nanoparticle is also there, or when zeolite by lesser induced fragmentation of zeolite. So just understand, suppose that this is a structure of zeolite. These red molecules are oxygen. These white molecules are considered as silicon atom, and this colored surface, these are the pores, right? So what will happen in zeolite structure? The arrangement of oxygen atom, which is red, silicon atom, which is this tan color, influences the region of pore and where CO2 can be captured. This is how zeolite work. Properties, applications, and innovative approaches of nanoadsorbent. So both carbon nanotube and nanometal, they are highly effective nanoadsorbent for the removal of heavy metal such as arsenic. Nanometals and zeolites benefit from their cost effectiveness and compatibility both in the existing wastewater system. The production cost is very high nowadays, but additional technical devices will not be required, like membrane filtration plant have to be integrated in order to make absolutely sure that no nanoparticle are discharged. Again, I repeat that whenever we are using nanotechnology, we have to make sure risk assessment as a part of process, because if you discharge any of this as a waste material into environment, it's going to affect to a great extent. So what are the advantages of carbon nanotube? That adsorption capacity for polar organic compound is very high. and they are highly advanced material, allowing both the removal of heavy metal as well as organic compound. But what are the disadvantages? That technically it is very demanding, and we don't have people right now for that, and it is a cost intensive production process for polymeric dendrimer that has to be improved. Next, nanoadsorbent, I have taken titanium oxide, which is TiO2. Just like in photosynthesis, chlorophyll will take light and get the water, and ultimately they will consume CO2. Likewise, here light will be consumed by photocatalyst, and it will give radical effect, and this organic pollutant will be broken into harmless carbon dioxide and water molecule. Nanometal and nanometal oxide. Nanoscale metal oxides are promising alternative to activated carbon. Some of these nanoscale metal oxides are super paramagnetic, which facilitate the separation and recovery by a low gradient magnetic field. And they can be employed for adsorptive filter media and slurry reactor, right? So they are promising alternative for activated carbon. So wherever currently we are using activated carbon, they can replace it by filter media or slurry reactor. And nano iron hydroxide. The formula is alpha FeOOH. It is a robust abrasion resistant adsorbent with a high specific surface area and enable the adsorption of arsenic from waste and drinking water. So mainly nanometal will grab the iron or arsenic from waste and drinking water. This is how metal nano powder will look like. Definitely it is a small powder type form. Nano silver exhibits the strong and broad spectrum antimicrobial activity. Nano titanium oxide featuring high chemical stability and low human toxicity, again at a cheap price. So for disinfection, it is going to be used to a large extent. TiO2, nano titanium oxide, is the best disinfection. The main advantage is that it has nearly endless lifetime of coating. So once you have applied, it is through. You need not to see it for the lifetime. But the main disadvantage is that no bactericidal substances such as hydroxyl radical remain, because this coating is permanent, as I say. So there won't be any release of any bacterial substances. So we cannot ensure that water quality in the storage and distribution device is pure or not if you have used only nano titanium oxide. So for that we are still finding some solution. So this is the graph. If you see, these are the percentage R&D and percentage GDP which has been spent for nano silver. Just for information, this is how nano silver will look like. Magnetic nanoparticle. Mainly when it is a poultry type of farm type of thing. So in that wastewater, phosphate is going to be a definitely main constituent. So if you take a glass of water in which that wastewater is taken, which is coming from the poultry farm containing high amount of phosphate, and you just add magnetic nanoparticle, it will be clean. As simple as that. So use of monomagnetic particles, that is Fe3O4, for the separation of water pollutant have already been established in the groundwater remediation. Mainly it is used for groundwater remediation. If you see carbon nanotube, they were absorbing heavy metal and organic pollutant. Titanium oxide, it is best disinfectant. Likewise, everyone is having some specific characteristic based on which we can decide that in which process it can be used, right? So magnetic nanoparticles can be mainly used for the groundwater remediation. The considerably extended operating hour and higher environmental cleanup cost can be reduced by applying this technology, and it can be injected directly into contaminated ground, and loaded particle can be removed simply through a magnetic field, right? Because it is magnetic nanoparticle, it will attract the impurity, and because of magnetic field, we can easily extract those particles. So it is very easy to use, right? So this is how it's going to work, chemistry and all. We are not going into detail of it. Then nano zero valent ion. Nano zero valent ion can be used for, again, remediation of groundwater with chlorinated hydrocarbon fluid and percolate. So due to its high specific surface, nano zero valent ion is much more reactive in comparison with the conventional granular ion. And as a result of its high reactivity, the lifetime of nano zero valent ion is very low. It has very low lifetime. It will look like this. You can see in between, these are Fe particles. We are not going into chemistry part. So specifically, when we are using size dependent properties, we are going to get advantage of high specific surface area, super paramagnetism, localized surface plasma resonance, quantum confinement, and other unique mechanical, electrical, and optical property. Nano enable water and wastewater treatment is giving us high performance. modular, compact, multifunctional, and nano-enable treatment using sensing technology. It is giving advantage of adsorption, membrane processes, photocatalyst, disinfection and microbial control, and sensing and monitoring. So any kind of nanoparticle it may be is going to be utilized in one of at least these said segments, right? And now what are the limitations? So commercialization is yet at research scale because it has impact on environment, so risk assessment is going to be a problem, as well as currently cost is high. So when we can reach to break even point, that is still we have to see individually for all treatment. Nanotechnology and environment potential benefit, right? So nanotechnological product, processes and applications are expected to contribute significantly to environmental and climate protection by saving raw water material, energy and water. It is saving everything because with small size it gives great efficiency. So lesser will be the requirement, and by reducing greenhouse gases and hazardous waste. What are again potential benefits? Rising prices for raw material and energy, coupled with increasing environmental awareness of consumers, are responsible for a flood of product on the market that promises certain advantage for environmental and climate protection. Nanomaterial exhibits special physical and mechanical or chemical property to make them interesting for novel or environmental friendly product. So example include, these all are in practice in reality now, right? To increase durability of material against mechanical stress or weathering, we have seen in application also in mechanical engineering. Then to increase the life of a product, it is applicable for civil as well as other field. To reduce cleaning effort by nanotechnology based dirt and water resistant coating, I have showed picture also for it. To improve energy efficiency of building by novel insulation material, and to reduce weight and save energy during transport, adding nanomaterial or nanoparticles to a material. In chemistry sector, if we see, nanomaterials are applied based on their special catalytic properties, so boost energy and resource efficiency will also be increased. They can also replace environmentally problematic chemical in the field of application. High hopes are being placed in nanotechnologically optimized product and processes for energy production, storage, and these are currently in the environment phase and are slated to contribute significantly to climate protection and solving our problems in very near future. So, in most commercially available nano consumer products, we can say that they are not, our goal is primarily not environmental protection right now. We are in research stage. So we are testing nanomaterial for its application in all the segments. Same way we have to also see the impact on environment, and we have to see cost recovery aspect as well. So self-cleaning surface coating or textile with spot protection, which are advertised as reducing and cleaning effort and therefore saving energy, water and cleaning agent. Emphasis is often placed on sustainable potential of nanotechnology. Even for the road retardants are available, then agricultural products are also available. So there are many varieties which are available. Many examples we can quote over here. And this graph shows that starting from 2010 up to 2025 prediction has been shown that if we see the use of nanotechnology, definitely it is on a great increasing scale. So nano-engineered material such as nanoadsorbent, nanometal, nanomembrane, photocatalyst offer potential for novel water technologies, and so it is easily adapted for wastewater treatment technology as well, and consumer satisfaction level is also achieved by applying this. One of the most important advantages of nanomaterial when compared with conventional water technology is their ability to integrate with various properties. Right? When you are using nanomaterial, it is not like our conventional system, which will remove any one specific thing. It has a capability that various types of property will be integrated, means multifunctional system will be there. So nanocomposite membrane that enable both particle retention and elimination of contaminant. Both can be achieved by nanocomposites. Now, what is nanocomposites? When we are using nanoadsorbent or nanomembrane specifically, we are facing some problem of degradation and cost and lifespan. So if we go for nanocomposite, all these challenges are also resolved. So further, nanomaterial enable higher process efficacy due to their unique characteristics such as a high reaction rate. So the future scope is actually very, very wide, because I will just give you a simple example that in our undergraduate student project work, what we have done is we have taken some nanofibers and we have added it while preparing the concrete. Mixed design was done by us and it was different compared to normal cube. How much difference in strength it was giving, in compression strength, in tensile strength, that we have identified. Then carbon nanotubes we have added for the concrete, for wastewater treatment also I have shown you the example. So definitely it is interesting area for all the student for final year project, as well as if you want to pursue for ME or for PhD, you can go ahead in this area. And for the same, those who are really interested, I would like to quote here that I have published one book for nanotechnology water and wastewater treatment, which was published in December 2009 by Lambert Publication, and it is available on Amazon if anybody is interested for that. And if you require any technical help from my side, I am Dr. Komal Mehta, Professor and Head of the Department Civil Engineering, ITM, SLS Baroda University. You can reach to me through Institute website, which is http://itmbu.ac.in. Professionals can reach to me by LinkedIn profile. Researchers can reach to me by ResearchGate, and my personal email ID is komalshahmehta@gmail.com. I'm sorry, this is spelling mistake, @gmail.com. And you can approach organizers also, and they can get back to me for any help if it is required. So I hope in a given time period I have tried my best to cover everything. Thank you. That's it.
For nice information and knowledge sharing on the new emerging area of nanotechnology, specifically for the water and wastewater treatment. Proceeding further, let me have a few questions to address over here, which is already available to us in the what you can say chat box. There are many questions we received. Few of them.
Yes, I would like to address few questions. One suggestion was regarding speed.
Yeah.
I can see, sir. I will read and I will answer. I can see the chat box.
Fine. Proceed, madam. Proceed.
Right. Somebody has asked to tell something about my patent. Okay, so 2 patents I have filed till date, and one is regarding analytical model for reuse of domestic wastewater, in which what I have done is I took one case study. I took one domestic sewage treatment plant and I collected number of years of data for all the parameters, basic parameters like pH, BOD, odor, and all, right, 10 to 12 parameters, and we have done some analysis that what is the average characteristics of that particular plant. After that, I took the sample of secondary effluent in the laboratory, and we have applied some primary and secondary and tertiary treatment over that, and whatever treatment results we are getting, based on that I have done regression analysis, and I have prepared mathematical model of that, and for that reuse purpose I have claimed it as my patent, because I guess nobody has claimed it yet. The second patent which we have claimed, it is regarding production of green energy. So almost with waste material, considering in mind that in remote area electricity is not available and it may not be affordable for them. So what we have done is we have taken some waste material, and at lab scale we have made one project. It was a model, and we have seen that it was giving us energy and there was no dependency on any electricity or any mechanical devices. So it was a green electricity. So these 2 patents I have filed. Okay, ma'am, have you ever used graphene? Okay, in laboratory, as I mentioned, I have used nanofibers and carbon nanotubes. Specifically, graphene for wastewater treatment, I have not used in my laboratory. Smart nano material is real or work is in progress? No, smart nano material is real. They are proved. But still, like, you know, when some technology is in the market, it will take 10 to 15 years at least to commercially prove it, because when we engineers talk about anything, it's not just technically proven thing, but we have to see cost aspect also. So these materials are real, its effects are real, but the side effects, that whatever company is preparing any nano material, normally they will not tell you that what are the side effects, but it is giving very harmful effect on the environment. So we should not get that effect, and we will use nano material. We have to see in that way, but it is real, it is existing in the market. Nanotechnology work on very small scale, can it uneconomical because small scale manufacture and other industry. um, well, I'm not able to understand very clearly, but what I can understand is, yeah, at a very small scale, if you want to work with nanotechnology, it is not going to be practically feasible cost wise. And even at lab scale, if you have to perform something, suppose my students are purchasing nanofiber, they are 50,000 rupees per kg. So you may apply in Guj Coast, or you may apply to some other body from where you can get grant for your project. You can purchase this material, and then in laboratory you may go for the experiment. Otherwise, at a small scale, if you are ready to spend money, then only you can take the project of nanotechnology. And in reality, in field, when we have to apply larger the scale, feasible is application of nanotechnology. Tell you about recent working project in Indian military. Well, I would like to only answer the question which are relevant to my today's lecture only. If we use nanomaterial in wastewater treatment, it is harmful for health, any side effect, or how work its cleaning and maintenance. Okay. Well, our technology or our treatment is as it is. You have to only add nanomaterial in that particular treatment. So it is not harmful, it is not having any side effect until it is only used for that particular process. Its cleaning or maintenance will not be required, it is very efficient material. But when ultimately you are discharging the wastewater, in that if you are using nanomaterial and that nanomaterial is also discharged, then it is a problem. When your water is passing through a tank which is having nanomaterial for treatment, and then it is coming out, the coming out water does not contain any particle of nanomaterial, then it is not harmful. But when ultimately you are releasing, and that release is with nanomaterial, then it is harmful. Explanation is good, thank you. Can nanomaterial be accurate to width? Yes, nanomaterial can be very, very accurate. If we use nanoblock in building material, how it's used in placing, mixing, transportation, etc. Okay, placing and transportation is not going to be a problem because it is very small in size and it is very light in the weight. If you are able to bear the cost, only you have to see technically only mixing aspect. So for that, mix design has to be done by yourself. It is again a trial and error process. Or if some company is claiming that they are manufacturing nano blocks, then they must be having that practice. But if you are using at laboratory, then you have to go for your own mix design, and you have to see whether it gets proper binding with cement, whether it gets proper binding with fly ash, or like that. It will be a trial and error method for a specific material and specific purpose. Right, so I hope that I have answered possible questions. Nayan sir?
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yes, madam. I feel enough number of questions has been answered right now. Still, some questions are coming. I request all the students who is interested to have the answers and their curiosity. Madam has already shared her contact details. Even you may mail it to me. I will forward the same to the madam, and she will be positively answering your questions in future, because all the questions could not be answered right now because we are time bound webinar. So we are exactly by 3 o'clock. We are now concluding this webinar over here. While concluding, I would request Dr. Komal Mehta for sparing her a valuable time and giving her concern just to give the knowledge on this nanotechnology, role of nanotechnology in water and wastewater treatment. In fact, if I say along with only just water and wastewater treatment, madam has given the idea about almost in all the fields that where it can be used in, where it can be used and what are the scope of nanotechnology in other areas also. not only in civil but in almost all the disciplines. How can we use the nanotechnology? Hope this particular webinar is going to be knowledge gaining, and what you can say, it will be definitely beneficial to the students and faculty members whomsoever is planning for their PhD work, or the ME students who are just thinking to start up with their projects in what you can say, this application of nanotechnology. And in future, the way how you give your consent and your help, extended your help to share your views. If any students or faculty members from our college, if they are expecting, I feel you will be readily available for us. So once again, by concluding over here, I would like to thank a lot on behalf of Shantilal Shah Engineering College and Department of Civil Engineering. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I feel now we are concluding. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have. Yeah, I will request the webinar team to stop recording and stop live streaming. Webinar team, please.
Yes, sir.